This video is sponsored by Patchwerks, Seattle's synthesizer store. More on that later. Hello everybody, my name is Jeremy, this is Red Beans Recording, and today we are looking at the Steady State Fate Zephyr, a little mini complex oscillator that fulfills a fair amount of the stuff that the ZPO did, but the ZPO is very hard to make right now because, in case you haven't heard, basically there are no components anymore. Components don't exist, nothing exists anymore, it's impossible to exist in this current world. So we have the Zephyr. And today we're going to take a look at it. This is going to be a very bleep bloopy video. So, if you're not interested in exploring audio rate modulation and sort of ripping sounds from a little analog oscillator here, might not be the video for you. But if you're interested in the Zephyr and complex oscillators, we can do this together. Here's what we will be getting into. Yeah. Nasty. Okay, so now that we have our little appetite whetted, let's go ahead and just do a quick walkthrough of how the Zephyr sounds without any modulation or anything like that. The Zephyr is a pretty standard complex oscillator in that it has multiple outputs for all the normal waveforms: sine, tri, saw, pulse. We have a sub that will go both low and a double octave underneath. So if you want a double low pulse sub, you can get that. Of course, the pulses are affected by our good friend pulse width modulation, and there are two flavors of pulse width modulation: center and edge. And the sub is affected by that. So that's pretty cool, right? I'm going to keep it in the sine out for right now. The other out that we're hearing is the Z wave out, and the Z wave is where all the fun stuff happens. So let's walk through what the Z wave can do. Right now, it sounds pretty much like a sine wave, right? And by the way, I do have a filter involved, but it's totally up right now, so all we're hearing is our friend the Zephyr. Okay, so with the Z wave not pure all the way on the left, we have ability to fold. Right? Real good. If we turn the Z wave to the right, it becomes a pulse. And we can mix that together, which is really, really cool. So if we were to just, modulate all that stuff real quick, we would get something pretty cool. This is what we mean by complex oscillators. The shape that's coming out of here is complex. And if I was DivKid, I'd have a little data next to this to show you, but I'm not. I'm just going to have to take my word for it. That's a complex shape. You also have an octave knob, which is very, very nice. And this thing will run as an LFO. So we can do more with our friend, the Z-Wave. We can mod it with 3 different flavors of mod. We have a TZPM, Z-Sync, and Flip. Let's start with TZPM. Now these, you're probably going to want to use a audio rate source for this. We're going to be doing a lot of audio rate modulation, and I have Twin Waves here set up as my audio rate modulation source. So, as I turn up this index right here, we're going to start hearing the zmod on the wave. And then if I modulate this, so that's TZPM. Let's go down to Z-Sync. For sync, you need to have the modulation oscillator below the pitch of your main oscillator. So if I was to go up a few octaves here, that cool sync sound there. This oscillator likes to get nasty, and I hope you do too. Let's do flip next. So flip reverses the wave. There's your like horror lead. That's pretty nasty. It's back inside. Let's talk about the FM real quick. We do have an FM in, linear and exponential, which sounds like you might expect. That's exponential. And linear. Beautiful. We also have a sync in. Let's go ahead and just use the regular sync in. So there's one sync and a different sync. Let's go ahead and make a beat with that. Go ahead and mod that. That is all the Zephyr. That's nasty. I think that's pretty cool. So in this one, I have this little hose of malt here. This is taking the output of the javelin, the envelope output of the javelin, and it's spidering it out into a ton of different things. So basically, we're using the envelope for the velocity here, the volume envelope, excuse me, to modulate all the other stuff here, including our modulation wave. So let's go ahead and bring this in one at a time so you can hear what starts off as this. The high lead there. And we're gonna just bring these in one at a time and hear how this affects the sound. I'm gonna start with the fold. Actually, no, I'm gonna start with pulse width modulation. Here we go. So there's pulse width modulation working on our pulse. As I bring this back to center, we're going to hear fold. There's fold. Mix these two together. All right. Index is where things are going to get real nasty. So here we go. That's coming from our twin waves here. Let's go ahead and modulate the pitch of that. Almost like two synths at once. And of course I can bring this down. And now we're just hearing the mod oscillator. Isn't that freaking cool? Again, this is all Zephyr, no filter. That's nasty. That's disgusting, and I love it.
And now a quick word from our sponsor, Patchwerks. I'm a robot, and if robots know one thing, it's the best place to eat delicious robot food. I'm a music robot, so I always go to Patchwerks. They have the best selection of synthesizer snacks that I like to chomp on. Yum yum. So good in my tummy. Some days I don't know exactly what type of synthesizer I should get, or what would go well with the wine I bought. That's where Patchwerks' expert staff of creatives always come in handy. They'll really listen to what I need and suggest the most delicious synthesizer for me to take home. Yesterday I ate a Moog, and followed it up with an entire Euro rack of ribs. Yum yum in my tum-tum. Shop online at patchwerks.com or visit their showroom on Stoneway in Fremont. Patchwerks, Seattle's synthesizer store.
Okay, so in this one, we're going to be using percall here, which I have being triggered by the mobility here. I can actually create triggers for it, which are here, and I believe up here. And what we're going to do with those is we're going to send envelopes into fold the index, which is the amount of how the zmod comes through. And what else do we have? The FM. So we're going to turn this into something much more interesting, just using envelopes into our Zephyr. You're going to hear immediately once we start programming in the fold. It's going to be really cool. So take a listen to this. Just that bass sine wave. That thing right there. All right, are you ready? Cool. So now we can play with these envelopes. Let's bring in the rest of those drums, shall we? I think that's super, super cool. So yeah, envelopes work really, really, really fun into this. One of the things that Steady State Fate has shown off in their videos of this is the ability to sort of glassy tones, and I wanted to share that with you now. So what is happening here is I have the Zephyr doing sort of a very bog standard kind of sound, that lead there. The Deluge is sending out the exact same MIDI to twin waves right here, and it's being put through another VCA. So this is going to be our modulating oscillator right here. It's set to a sine wave, and we're going to be able to adjust its shape, its volume, before it goes into the Zephyr. We're putting it into the zmod, and we're going to be starting off with TZPM, and I'm going to turn up the index, and then I'm going to turn the octave of the sound up and down, and you're going to be able to hear how it adds a more subtle sort of modulation to it. This thing doesn't always have to just be like a nasty boy, but we do like it as a nasty boy. Let's listen to it as a slightly less nasty boy. So there's our sound. First step is to increase the index. Now you could hear a modulating oscillator. Let's change the octave. Listen to that. Sounds like a electric piano. And below it sounds like a really nasty electric piano. So it can do nice tones, right? Let's bring in the rest of the patch because I do have a lot of other stuff going on here. I sort of built this patch with the intention of it being kind of like nartsy and weird. Ultra Kick was also sent over by Steady State Fate, and I've been using it as like a really cool percussion thing. It's not doing any kicks or anything like that. So yeah, I'm going to bring in Ultra Kick, Noise Plethora, and Kozalin. Kozalin. I'm sorry I pronounced it wrong, everybody. All you Zayok people, I'm sorry. Ooh, I pronounced Zayok wrong too. Oh, God. So yeah, let's just jam out on this a little bit, okay? Here we go. Nasty. Yeah. Okay, last demo. I wanted to show that this thing works as a pretty kick-ass lead as well. So I've set this up. The fold is going to get modulated by a LFO here. What else do we have? Pulse width modulation is being modulated by an LFO. And the index, which is the amount of the zmod modulation, is getting an LFO as well. And then I duped out the signal of the volt per octave and gate that we're getting for our Zephyr directly into twin waves, and that means it's always going to be in lockstep with the pitch, but I can also just freely adjust the course. And you'll hear that in a second as soon as this gets some voltage. So let's go ahead and listen. We're in flip mode right now. Listen to that, yeah. Try sync. That's pretty cool. Let me remind you again, we got no filter on this thing. I don't think I've engaged the filter once during this whole demo. This has all been the Zephyr. So this is the advantage of something that can go from a very, very chill sound, meaning the initial fold all the way on the left with no folding, to just this mangling audio rate modulation goodness. This is the kind of oscillator that you just want to throw audio rate modulation at. I'm going to play us out, but I hope this has been interesting to you. I think the Zephyr is a really, really cool oscillator if you're looking for something that does this kind of thing in a smaller form factor than, let's say, like the ZPO or the DPO. It's a little bit bigger than the Pizza from Bastel, but it also has some really colorful options that I really, really dig. I love how screamy this thing can get. The wave folder sounds really good. Has a really great presence, and I like the double kind of octave sub out that's also adjusted by the PWM. The two flavors of PWM are really, really nice. I think it sits really, really nicely in the market in terms of being a small or medium form factor complex oscillator. All the stuff that was in the ZPO that made it great got kind of condensed down into the Zephyr. And, the part shortage really, really sucks, but I'm really glad that we got this oscillator out of it. So, thanks for Patchwerks to sponsoring this video. Thanks to Steady State Fate for sending over these modules for me to do a video on. I'm going to just jam out a bit, put the Bob and Cat thing in the video like I do at the end of all my stuff. If you like what you see here, give it a like, thumbs up, all that stuff. We got a Patreon if you want to support that. And yeah, my name is Jeremy. This is Red Means Recording, and I hope you have a wonderful day.